not a YouTuber, just like making videos. And this might be the most important video I ever made. Matter of fact, this might be one of the most important videos on YouTube altogether. But I'm going to talk about race and race role playing or whatever. Do people, well, especially here in America where race is so important, do people do they act the way they act because of their race? Is it because of their experience, or is it they've been given a role to play or whatever? Now, culture is real, ethnicity is real, but how real is race? I'm like, hold up, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna show you a clip from my Incognegro book review. That's the thing that most of us know that most white people don't. That race doesn't really exist. True. Culture, ethnicity, sure, class too. But race is just a bunch of rules meant to keep us on the bottom. Race is strategy. The rest is just people acting plain roles. That's what white folks never get. They don't. I think that's a typo right there. I think they meant to say they. It's the, but they don't think they have accents. They don't think they eat ethnic foods. Their music is classical. They think they're just normal, that they are the universal, and that everyone else is an odd deviation from form. Now, if you know what I'm saying, I'll put the link up to my Incognito book review. Go check that out. But you know what I'm saying, in that book, in that graphic novel, it breaks it down. I'm like, I can understand there is difference between the different genotypes, but are differences so significant that it will create such social barriers? You see what I mean? Okay, let me go down into the genotypes. Okay, let's the differences between white people and black people on a biological level. We would say that blacks are just got melanin, can tolerate sunlight. We do got rhythm, can dance, more muscular tone. You know, whites, you know what I'm saying, a little bit hairy. They have white people, they constantly, you know what I mean, just the physical, like, you know what I'm saying, they're hairier. They may have a high tolerance for cold weather and so forth. So I understand that there's a difference. There's a difference between, you know, the genotypes, you know what I mean, because going down to our skeletal structure. But all I'm saying is our differences on a biological level so significant that it creates social barriers. Or was the social barriers between blacks and whites, and you know what I'm saying, and other genotypes here in America, was it a grand design? Now, I would say that, and I have to say that it was a part of a design. You know what I'm saying? Some people will say, especially, you know what I'm saying, the racists or maybe the conservative party have said that things have gotten to where they are. These differences between, you know, intelligence and so forth, and standard of living between whites and black, that it happened naturally because blacks are just somehow, either we're stuck in the past, you know what I'm saying, we hold grudges, or we're just not as intelligent as white people, you know what I mean? And I completely disagree with that. Now, here's why. Now, you take Hispanics. I'm like, you know what I'm saying, even though we all know the standard quote for Hispanic, a Latino is a brown-skinned person, which that's kind of a weird thing, because technically I'm a brown-skinned person, but a white person can be Spanish, and you know, a Mongoloid can be Spanish. a black person can be Spanish, you know what I'm saying, or Latino. Matter of fact, the original Hispanics are white, you know what I'm saying? They derive from Spain, which is in Europe, which is, they're white, you know what I'm saying? They're as white as the Portuguese and so forth. So yeah, but if we go into these Spanish-speaking nations, you know, Puerto Rico, Cuba, is there a difference between the dark-skinned Hispanics, Latinos that can pass for an African, or or a white Latino, or an, you know what I'm saying, or the brown-skinned Latino, you know what I'm saying, for lack of a better term? Is there a difference between them? I'm like, sure, they may be, the dark-skinned people may be getting treated different, because let's face it, the whole entire world is hung up on skin color. It's just how it is. But is there a difference in how they act? Can you look at it? Do dark-skinned Latinos commit more crime than light-skinned Latinos? Do they act more ghetto? No, because it's their culture. You know what I'm saying? Latin is their culture. Puerto Rican, that's their culture. I came across many of Hispanics that were darker than me, that had full lips and the wide nose or whatever, and they'll just say that they may identify with blacks in some ways, but they're you know what I'm saying, they're Hispanic, you know, and so forth. You know what I'm saying? In Cuba, you know what I'm saying? What kind of data can you show that dark-skinned Cubans act a certain way or commit more crimes and so forth than a light-skinned Cuba? You know what I'm saying? Where's the data at? No, there is no data, because ultimately culture comes first. Whatever genotype, that comes second, their skeletal frame or whatever. But culture comes first. But here in America, it seems like race comes first. Even though you can say maybe race and culture in some cases are interchangeable, but no, yeah, in some ways, but we have a role to play. The so-called, what they consider black culture, is not black culture. That's just some manufactured kind of stigma that was put on black people. The hood, the ghetto, you know what I'm saying? They're trying to say that, you know, think that blacks are synonymous with crime and ratchetness and so forth. No, and a lot of blacks fall for it. A lot of blacks want to play their role. You know what I'm saying? Are happy, are oblivious to the fact that they're playing a role. And white people, they're playing a role, but they're playing a good role. You know what I'm saying? They're the good guys. You know what I'm saying? They're the universal. They are the default people. So why would white people, you know what I'm saying, they're not going to really be flustered about the role that they're given to play. And what better institution to help reinforce these rules than Hollywood? You know, I'm like, look at the black man. You know, we're stigmatized as being violent and hot-tempered, aggressive now. And we used to be like the humble, the happy, the reluctant little servant. You know what I'm saying? Kind of like the buffoon or whatever. Someone who really can't think for himself. You know what I mean? Someone who just simply can't get a grasp on reality or process information the same way a normal human being would process information. You know what I'm saying? That was the role that was given to us. You know what I'm saying? Being loud. And some people act it out. White people's role is, you know what I mean, being the smart, intelligent, you know what I'm saying, the thinker, the hero, malevolent, proud, you know what I'm saying, the explorer, you know what I'm saying, just the whole entire universe revolves around him. I'm like, he's the center. That's why in European history, you know, we have to look at it from their angle, as the whole entire world was in darkness until the great white explorer came and brought us into the light, you know what I mean? The great white hunter, you know what I mean? The adventure, you know what I'm saying? So they have their role, you know, and someone who is complex, mild-mannered, financially stable, at a certain level of living, you know, at a certain level of intelligence. And you see, like, you know, that's why you have poor white trash. How they're, you know what I mean, they're just frowned upon because they don't, you know what I'm saying, live up to that role. They're looked at as almost being freaks of nature. So that's why you call them poor white trash. So if these people are living a substandard, these white people, you know what I'm saying, what are they calling the black people that are also living below the poverty line and so forth? You know, I'm like, truth be told, it's the so-called poor white trash, that one that founded this country or whatever, that the early pioneers. I'm like, the Europeans who didn't have anything, those are the ones that came over here. The ones that had wealth and so forth and estates and owned land and property or whatever stayed in Europe until these things here were kind of built up, until the rich people, you know what I'm saying, the aristocrats came from Europe to come over here as, you know what I'm saying, just to exploit the situation, you know what I'm saying, and so forth, and exploit the people. You know, so therefore, it was like whites left Europe to get away from this, and you know what I'm saying, what they was trying to get away from eventually came here and grabbed a whole bunch of land or whatever and opened factories. So that's what I'm saying. And like the term wigger, you know what I'm saying, when you call a white person wigger, when a white person considers himself wigger, it's the same as calling black people niggers and so forth. And I have no problem if a white dude want to look like Riff Raff and have gold teeth in his mouth and speak in ghetto slang, wear his pants down or whatever. I'm like, he's not acting black, you know what I'm saying? He's acting ghetto. You know, he's acting a ghetto culture that is now, I guess, synonymous with black people. And some of these dumbass rappers and these hood dudes that don't know any better, you know, these dudes who are mentally handicapped, you know, would think that, hey, this is acting black. I'm acting like a true nigger and so forth. But no, if a white person wants to play this role or whatever, or he wants to abandon the role society gave him and so forth, or want to quote unquote, you know what I'm saying, act ghetto and so forth, you know what I'm saying, my thing is, go ahead and knock yourself out. You know what I mean? I'm to the point in my life where I don't even identify with ghetto culture or whatever. I can understand that this is the black commonwealth, but you know what I'm saying, we gotta let that go. You know what I'm saying? A lot of the way black people act, there's just roles that was superimposed on us. You know what I'm saying? We shouldn't we shouldn't pigeonhole ourselves or whatever. We should supersede this and so forth. I'm like, and that's the thing. And as I said, you go into any other, and if you do go into the ghettos of Puerto Rico or the ghettos of Brazil, you know what I'm saying, it's not gonna, and if people act a certain way, it's because of their environment, you know what I'm saying, it's not because of who they are. As if a dark-skinned Brazilian person who lives in the upper echelon or whatever, he's not even obligated to defend a certain role. You see what I mean? You know what I'm saying? It goes for the Brazilians too. You got light-skinned Brazilians and dark-skinned Brazilians or whatever. But it's their culture more so their race. As I said before, there are differences in our races, but it's not enough to justify these constructs of, you know what I'm saying, of these social force fields. You see what I mean? I know it's kind of hard to really break down in words, you know what I'm saying? It may sound better if I've written it down on paper. But I agree that a lot of blacks' behavior, you know what I'm saying, it does come from our experience here in America. You know, living under the tutelage of white supremacy and how, you know, certain things were formed. Like, you know what I'm saying, the gangs and so forth. You know what I'm saying? There were certain things that caused us to detoured us and go a certain route. But I don't believe in this whole concept of acting white. Like when they say a black person is acting white and so forth, and or a white person is acting black. Now I do believe in somebody, you know what I'm saying? I know what I'm saying, identifying with the black commonwealth, because let's face it, blacks are treated a certain way. You know, I'm like, the white man has put the jackhammer on us, and that could best explain, you know, our aggression. You know what I'm saying? Our aggressive manner, so they say, but you know what I'm saying, that can be defined in many different ways. And some of the reasons why they say that we're loud, you know, is because, you know what I'm saying, for a while we were in this country, we didn't have a voice, we were silent. You know what I'm saying? We wasn't allowed to talk, and then we, you know, was now that we can be heard, you know what I'm saying, it's like it could be a roar, and so to say. But you know what I'm saying, a lot of it, you know what I'm saying, it's but how blacks act in this country, it's not something that was just, it wasn't a natural occurrence, you know what I mean? It doesn't represent our natural psyche and so forth. It has something, it has a lot to do with the role we were chosen to play, and you know what I'm saying, and our experience. Now with whites, the typical white American, I'm like, man, they're definitely playing a role. You know what I mean? They were literally handed a script, and you know what I'm saying, they may not believe it. You know what I'm saying? Now I can understand that a lot of what they are customs that, you know what I'm saying, that came from the old country, from Europe. But notice how when whites got here, you know what I'm saying, their culture, you know what I'm saying, whether they're from Germany or Polish, Irish or whatever, and they sort of still represent that, but it has become second nature, you know what I mean? It has taken a step down to them being white. And people like Glenn Beck and the conservatives have constantly talked about, you know what I'm saying, white culture, when no one can actually identify what exactly is white culture. You know what I mean? So basically what Glenn Beck is saying is like, well, the role, white people's role here in America. Because you know, in Europe you had Italians, they had their thing, and the Polish, the Swedish or whatever, and you know what I'm saying, that had to take their culture, you know what I'm saying, their nationality had to take a back seat to being a white person. That's why you had so much conflict and you know what I mean, and in this country's early days, you know, going back to the gangs of New York, because the Europeans was coming off those boats. The Irish people was going against the Polish, and then you had the True Blue, you had the Germans. But somehow they said, hey man, we're going to get together, we're going to put our differences to a side or whatever. You know what I mean? You like to eat pasta, you know, we like to eat bratwurst. And so forth, you know what I'm saying? We like to wear lederhosen, and so forth. But we're going to put all this to the side, and we're just going to come together as a collective force under the banner of white people and so forth, and you know what I'm saying, work together or whatever against these other people, against these brown, black, and red people, for the lack of a better term or whatever. So you know what I'm saying, that's just how it is. You know what I'm saying. Thanks for watching, and sally forth.